Lesson 62. Life. Lives. The poor. The rich. What's the plural of life?
The plural of life is lives.
Do you think the lives of the poor are happier than those of the rich?
Yes, I think the lives of the poor are happier than those of the rich.
Although. Make a sentence with the word although in it.
Although the food was not very nice, I ate it because I was hungry.
Although you're now able to hold a simple conversation in English, do you think you should keep studying?
Yes, although I'm now able to hold a simple conversation in English, I think I should keep studying.
Are some people always happy although they have problems in their lives?
Yes, some people are always happy although they have problems in their lives.
Cook. Tasty. Pasta. Is there a restaurant near here that cooks tasty food?
Yes, there's a restaurant near here that cooks tasty food.
Is it difficult to cook pasta?
No, it isn't difficult to cook pasta. It's easy.
Are you a good cook?
Yes, I'm a good cook.
Independent. Do you think that all the countries of the world should be independent?
Yes, I think that all the countries of the world should be independent.
Origin. Do many European languages have their origins in Latin?
Yes, many European languages have their origins in Latin.
Belong to. Why don't you take this book home with you after the lesson?
I don't take that book home with me after the lesson because it doesn't belong to me.
Who does that pen belong to?
This pen belongs to me.
If a factory belonged to you, do you think you would be able to make a lot of money?
Yes, if a factory belonged to me, I think I'd be able to make a lot of money.
Could. Vice versa. What can we use instead of would be able in conditional sentences?
We can use could instead of would be able in conditional sentences.
Give me an example, please.
If I was a bird, I could fly.
Now I'm going to ask you some questions with could, and you answer with would be able, and vice versa. If you were very, very tall, could you touch the ceiling?
Yes, if I were very, very tall, I would be able to touch the ceiling.
If you were a doctor, would you be able to help people who were ill?
Yes, if I were a doctor, I could help people who were ill.
If you were as strong as a horse, could you lift a man above your head with only one hand?
Yes, if I were as strong as a horse, I would be able to lift a man above my head with only one hand.
Throw. What am I going to do?
You're going to throw your pen at the window.
Do you think you could throw a stone further than I can?
Yes, I think I could throw a stone further than you can.
Alive? Dead. Is Napoleon alive?
No, Napoleon isn't alive, he's dead.
Drop. Go without. What am I doing?
You're dropping your pen on the table.
What's the pen doing?
The pen's dropping on the table.
What would happen if I dropped a glass on the floor?
If you dropped a glass on the floor, it would break.
What's the longest time you have ever gone without drinking a drop of water?
The longest I've ever gone without drinking a drop of water is about 10 hours.
Assassinate. What happened to President Kennedy?
President Kennedy was assassinated in 1963.
Usual. Unusual. Did anything unusual happen to you yesterday?
Yes, something unusual happened to me yesterday.
What?
I found £20 in the street.
Is it usual for people in your country to eat hot food for breakfast?
Yes, it's usual for people in my country to eat hot food for breakfast.
Is it unusual for children to find coffee tasty?
Yes, it's unusual for children to find coffee tasty.
Still. Yet. In progress. What's the difference between still and yet?
The difference between still and yet is that we use still for something that is in progress at the moment, whereas we use yet for something that has not begun or happened. We generally use still in positive sentences, whereas we generally use yet in questions and negative sentences.
Give me some examples, please.
It's still winter, it isn't spring yet.
Has the lesson finished yet?
No, the lesson hasn't finished yet. It's still in progress.
Have we finished speaking yet?
No, we haven't finished speaking yet. We're still speaking.
Have they gone home yet?
No, they haven't gone home yet. They're still here.
Has the spring begun yet?
No, the spring hasn't begun yet. It's still winter.
Will I still be in this country in 2 weeks' time?
Yes, you'll still be in this country in 2 weeks' time.
Special.
Lesson 63. Clean. Dirty. Dirt. Know of. Are the bottoms of your shoes clean?
No, the bottoms of my shoes aren't clean. They're dirty.
When our shoes are dirty, what should we do?
When our shoes are dirty, we should clean them.
Which do you think is the cleanest city you know of?
I think Tokyo is the cleanest city I know of.
And which do you think is the dirtiest?
I think Liverpool is the dirtiest.
Which do you think is less unpleasant, the dirt of the city or the dirt of the country, of the farm, etc.?
I think the dirt of the country is less unpleasant than the dirt of the city.
To be afraid. Do you remember if you were afraid of the dark when you were a little child?
Yes, I remember I was afraid of the dark when I was a little child.
Would you be afraid to go round the world in a small open boat?
Yes, I would be afraid to go round the world in a small open boat.
Do people shake when they feel very afraid?
Yes, people shake when they feel very afraid.
Guard. On your guard. Off your guard. What's the best way to guard against becoming ill?
The best way to guard against becoming ill is to eat healthy food, sleep well, and do exercise.
Must we be on our guard when we buy something from a man selling things in the street?
Yes, we must be on our guard when we buy something from a man selling things in the street.
Why?
Because maybe we won't be able to find him again if there's a problem with the thing we've bought.
What's the opposite of on your guard?
The opposite of on your guard is off your guard.
Calm. Quietly. What's the best way to calm somebody down when he's very angry?
The best way to calm somebody down when he's very angry is to speak quietly and pleasantly to him.
Are we having calm weather at the moment?
Yes, we're having calm weather at the moment.
If I were. King. Person. First, second person, etc. What are the two ways of forming the second conditional with the verb to be?
The two ways of forming the second conditional with the verb to be are if I was and if I were.
If you were a millionaire, where would you live?
If I were a millionaire, I would live in Hawaii.
Why?
Because it's beautiful.
If I were you, which language would I speak?
If you were me, you would speak Spanish.
If you were a king, what would your wife be called?
If I were a king, my wife would be called a queen.
If there wasn't a light in this room, would we be able to see well when it got dark?
No, if there wasn't a light in this room, we wouldn't be able to see well when it got dark. We would see badly.
If there weren't any food in the world, would we all die?
Yes. If there weren't any food in the world, we would all die.
If you weren't you, who would you like to be?
If I weren't me, I would like to be George Clooney,
Why?
because he's handsome and has a lot of money.
If I were you. Advice. Expression. Especially. Can we use the expression, if I were you, to give advice to somebody?
Yes, we can use the expression if I were you to give advice to somebody.
Give me an example, please.
If I were you, I would eat more vegetables. Or, I wouldn't buy that car if I were you.
What's the biggest problem in your life at the moment?
The biggest problem in my life at the moment is learning English.
Give him some advice, please.
If I were you, I would study hard.
Win, won, won. Lottery. What's another opposite of the verb lose besides find?
Another opposite of the verb lose besides find is win.
What are the 3 forms of win?
The 3 forms of win are win, won, won.
Does your country usually win at football?
No, my country doesn't usually win at football. It usually loses.
Do you do the lottery?
Yes, I do the lottery.
Have you ever won?
No, I've never won.
If you won £1 million, what would you do with it?
If I won £1 million, I would buy a large house.
Useful. Useless. Possess. Is this pen useless?
No, this pen isn't useless. It's useful.
What do we do with useless things?
We throw useless things away.
What are the 2 most useful things you possess?
The 2 most useful things I possess are my phone and my computer.
Do you think that what you're learning now will be useful to you later on in life?
Yes, I think that what I'm learning now will be useful to me later on in life.
Why?
Because it will help me get work and speak to people from other countries.
Take by surprise.